So I had yet another laptop stolen this week. That makes 4. Gil Liberton is my longtime friend and coworker. Who's the most likely suspect for this?
You think that Cowboys guy Joseph Randall's at it again?
Could be. Ziggy, you got any thoughts?
Aha! It was I, you fool!
Until proven otherwise, I'm going to go with the guy who's not here today.
Oh,
John Henry.
If he shows up with a new laptop, we'll know.
Boom. PressBox DFW Live. I'm Richie Witt. He is Gil Liberton. He is not John Henry because he's got like a real job these days.
Yeah, how about that?
What an excuse that is.
Right.
He's doing thoroughbreds and quarter horses and cutting horses and whatnot.
Cutting horses. What are cutting horses?
Let's have John Henry on, but he was not here, so maybe another time. It is PressBox DFW Live, Season 3, Episode 4. A fantastic guest today. Thank you for landing this get, as we call it in the business, Gil. It's our old friend and forever Rangers beat writer, T.R. Sullivan. T.R., how we doing, my man?
Hi, Richie. Hi, Gil. I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
T.R., again, forever Rangers beat reporter for MLB.com. You can read his fine work there. And let's start with the obvious story this week. The Rangers, a forgettable season, but it's going to be a memorable weekend out at the old yard. Globe Life Park, the farewell series this weekend against the Yankees. And TR, I got to give you props. I read your story at MLB.com about the farewell to the stadium and all the memories and kind of how it was built. That's about as comprehensive as it's going to get. If you care about the Rangers and want to know the history of the park, that is the story to read. We'll put the link up here, TR. Fantastic
Thank
story.
you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So talk about just in putting that story together. I mean, that was just kind of your eulogy to the old place, right?
Well, I think we wanted to put the ballpark in Arlington in proper perspective, and make sure everybody understood the original intent, what they were trying to do as far as building the ballpark, what Tom Schieffer and David Schwartz and the rest of them were trying to do for the park. You always hear these silly things about, well, they should have put a dome on it. Back then, if you remember, Toronto put a dome on their place, and it cost them like $500 million, and it set the province of Ontario back severely financially. So nobody really thought a dome was practical. George Bush and Tom Schieffer did not want a dome stadium. They wanted a real ballpark. They built a real ballpark. They set it up where it was supposed to be, number one, much cooler than what it took place later. They made so many renovations to the ballpark. That's what increased the heat and those issues there by blocking the flow of the air through the ballpark because of, like that club and behind home plate and things like that.
They created that jet stream, right?
Yeah. And another thing, people don't realize this, but those LED lighting things that they wrap around the ballpark, what do they call those? The ribbon?
Yeah, those ribbons.
Boards,
Yeah.
That creates a lot of heat. People don't realize how much heat those things generate. And they've done some other things, like out in center field, where they have those grills that are just grilling hamburgers, chicken, all that, and it smells great and everything like that. That's generating tremendous heat. And then the third thing is Tom Schieffer said, the ballpark games were supposed to be at 7:30. That's when the sun is down and things are starting to cool off.
Good point.
Not at 7 o'clock. The other thing is it was not meant to be built to be played during the day. They were not supposed to play day baseball in the summer months,
including Sunday.
They had an exemption from Major League Baseball to do that. If you remember back in the 90s, we played on Sunday nights, even though ESPN had their
That's right.
Sunday night baseball.
That's right, yeah.
all that changed when Buck Showalter said, "Hey, we got to have day games for getaway days. We can't be playing night and leaving the ballpark at 1 o'clock in the morning and getting into the hotel in Seattle at 4 or 5 in New York like that." So Showalter insisted they start playing day games on getaway days and on the weekends. And then when Major League Baseball said, "Okay, if you want to do that, but you're losing your exemption now. Okay, now you can't play on Sunday night anymore, and you can't play, you can't play on getaway nights anymore." So that really hurt the Rangers as far as why we're playing all these Sunday day games and all these afternoon day games during the week, like on Thursday where the Red Sox are here and they're leaving at 1. We're playing at 1 o'clock. That all changed the thing too. So there was a lot of things that turned the ballpark into a much hotter place than it was originally intended to.
Let's blame it on Buck. It's T.R. Sullivan, Rangers beat reporter, MLB.com. I just remember as a kid growing up going to original Arlington Stadium with the metal bleachers, and that was just it felt like a minor league park. And I remember walking into, at the time, the ballpark at Arlington and thinking this is the greatest thing I'd ever seen. Gil, when you walked in, what were your initial thoughts of the place back in '94?
Same thing as you. It was beautiful. It was a ballpark. It was a ballpark.
And TR, a lot of great things happened. You go over all of them in your article, just kind of the MVPs that were won and all the pennants that were won. I mean, the Rangers weren't really good until they came into this ballpark.
No, they were competitive. They had Ruben Sear and Nolan Ryan and Charlie Huff, and they were finishing 3rd or 4th place in the division, and they were winning 83, 85 ball games a year when they're in the best of times. And no, when the ballpark was built, it changed everything. I mean, Will Clark came here. Free agents started coming here. I mean, Alex Rodriguez decided to play here. Ken Hill signed as a free agent here. It was a much more attractive place. Their revenues just doubled. Their revenues like doubled like the first year. I think it went from like $30 million to $60 million in revenue just in the first year alone. That they had opened up that TGI, that Fridays up on the second deck in right field. That became the best-selling Fridays, most successful Fridays in the entire franchise in the United States, and the only one that outdrew it was a place in London. So, that's the kind of revenue this ballpark generated and just made this ball club a much better team. And if you remember, they signed Juan Gonzalez to that 7-year contract right away, right that first year they moved into the ballpark. That was his first long-term contract. So that's the kind of impact it had financially, not just that it was a beautiful ballpark. They had much more amenities for the clubhouse. Back then they had a hydro pool, and of course they had the weight room and just all sorts of neat things for the players.
TR, don't you think that attendance is more a factor of how the team is doing than what the weather has been?
They drew 3 million people here in 2012. People forget that.
That's right.
The year after that, they lost to the Cardinals in 2011. The next year, they drew 3 million fans.
Wasn't that a really cold summer, though, TR? I'm kidding, of course. It's hot as hell, but if they win, they'll come out. That's right. That's always been that way.
I think another problem, though, this sport has. I've talked to this with John Daniels and Ray Davis and Tom Schieffer. These games are way too long. They're just way too long. 3.5, 4-hour games every night. That's killing the sport. It's killing. I mean, people don't want to sit down. I mean, Gone with the Wind was a 3-hour and 42-minute movie. That's you don't want to watch Gone with the Wind as a movie every night. When you want to watch a movie, you want to watch a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie at the most. Same thing with baseball. You don't want to sit through a 3-hour and 42-minute game. And the problem is, the last 20 minutes are the most compelling because you're in the 9th inning. The Rangers are coming back. They're rallying for a big victory, and great things are happening. They're exciting games, and they're fun to watch at the end. But if you look at the crowd, half of them are gone by then. More than half. More than half of the people. When you get a 3.5-hour game like that, more than half of the crowd is gone when the Rangers pull off some kind of rally to win the game.
Now listen to how passionate you are, and I'm serious about this. You've said you've talked to John Daniels, et cetera. What's your recommendation for the sport that you love? How do you make the game shorter yet still, competitive and authentic?
You got to keep the players in the batter's box. That's number one. and you got to get these pitchers to throw the damn ball. That's a killer. I mean, that's a killer. It's a killer. I mean, it was funny. The other day, the Angels were in town, and I don't know this kid's name. I'm sure he's a fine player, but the Angels' backup catcher, I think his name is Ben Boom or something like that. The kid was, every pitch, he would back out of the batter's box and line it up like Tiger Woods looking for a putt to win the U.S. Open. I mean, he's like changing the batting gloves and waving the bat around, and
they do the Velcro dance
and wiggling his butt.
Yeah. I remember Mike Hargrove doing this back in '74. Yeah, he would undo and redo his batting gloves after every pitch, and we thought it was crazy then. And now every player does. I mean, you're right. It's an epidemic around baseball.
Mike Hargrove should be banned from the game, just like Pete Rose was.
Wow, TR bringing it today. TR Sullivan, Rangers beat reporter for MLB.com. So let's talk about the Rangers season before we get into where they're going to be playing next year. Anything good come out of this season? I mean, they overachieved for most of the year. They've totally fallen off the cliff here lately. But what do we take into next year from this year?
Well, I think the best thing that happened this year was Mike Minor and Lance Lynn. You know, they're excellent 1-2 at the top of the rotation. That was a big win right there for the Rangers. They need one or two more guys like that. You know, they've got some young pitchers, but you know, this year they tried to fill the rotation with three guys coming off Tommy John surgery. That was a big bust. That was a big mistake. You know, it's okay to give those guys a chance, but you're lucky if you get one of them. You know, they were 0 for 3, and that's tough to do. I thought at least Shelby Miller was a good signing. I thought Shelby Miller would turn out all right. He didn't. Next year, you can't go into the season with three rookies in there. You know, Colby Allard, Brock Burke, and Joe Palumbo. Again, you'd be asking for trouble. So they need to come up in the offseason with one or two veteran starting pitchers to fill the middle of that rotation, so they don't have to rely on all these young pitchers. It just doesn't work that way. You know, Joey Gallo looked like he was going to be a great success story until the injury happened. You know, some disappointing things. Nomar Mazara is still, you know, he's still 20 home runs and 80 RBIs. I mean, Johnny Grubb did that for the Rangers 30 years ago. You know, they need more out of him than that. You know, Rougned Odor, I mean, the guy's got 26 home runs, 70-something RBIs, and a 200 batting average.
It's such a head-scratching player, yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of like him this year, though. I think he's more humble, not as off the wall as he used to be. I think he's a lot more grounded. I think he might end up being okay. I'm actually kind of optimistic. Last year, I was
That's
like,
good to hear.
This guy's, you know, this guy doesn't have a chance. Now I think he's got a chance. I think he's got his head screwed on right, and I think next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Odor has a big year next year.
So you think the job is his to lose next spring training?
It's his job. I mean, I don't think he's going to lose it. I mean, the guy's got 3 more years on his contract. I mean, Nick Solak, you know, has played well, but you know, I'm not real sure Nick Solak is ready to come in here and be an everyday second baseman at the major league level. I think, you know, I think he could be a good, you know, bench player, versatile right-handed hitter, kind of like Hunter Pence was. But you know, I don't see him taking Odor's job next year. Yeah,
but then you're saying a 202 hitting second baseman is an everyday player.
He thinks he's going to be better next year.
Hey, the guy's got got 3 more years and $33 million left on that contract. If you want to, if Ray Davis is willing to eat that contract, fine. But if not, the guy's got to play. I mean, they shouldn't have. You can't sign young. All this goofiness about signing young players to long-term contracts because you're afraid to go to arbitration with them. That's got to stop. I mean, you know, all you're doing is asking for trouble. I mean, sometimes it works out. It worked out well for Elvis Andrus, but you know, now you're stuck with Rougned Odor, and you know, I still, you know, like I said, he may have a big year next year, but he's got to play. If he got the contract, he's got to play.
TR Sullivan, Rangers beat writer for MLB.com, old Star Telegram cohort of Gil and I, on PressBox DFW Live. Let's talk about the new place right across the street, Globe Life Field. $1.2 billion. Of course, it's got the roof, it's got the AC, it's got the fake grass. TR, where do you stand on this place?
I'll have to see it. I think it's got a chance to be something special. It's not Minute Maid Park. Everybody says, "Oh, it's Minute Maid Park." It's like, no, it's not. I've been in there. It's going to be totally different. It's really interesting to look at the configuration, because if you go in there and you look at it right now, you feel like they're building a basketball arena, because it's so vertical and it's so enclosed. It's just going to be a totally different feel to this ballpark. And the configuration of all the stands in the different sections they're all unique. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting ballpark. Is it going to be people going to love it? Are they going to hate it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see till they open it up. Is it going to be a home run park, or is it going to be a pitcher's park? Or is it going to be a fair park? I don't think anybody knows until they get the thing built. But I think it's going to be very spectacular to look at.
TR, I remember when we went in there a few weeks ago and saw the press box area for the first time, and totally ruined a pair of shoes and a pair of slacks with all the construction dust. But one of the things I noticed was it looks like the angle of the seating, it's built like old Yankee Stadium, more straight up and down than like that broad expanse that you see in so many ballparks. I guess the best example of that's Comerica Park in Detroit. But the Rangers place is going to be straight up and down, and I think the fans are going to really like that. Don't you think?
Yes, I think the fans are going to love being closer to the field, as long as they can afford the ticket.
Yeah, there's that.
I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a unique ballpark. I think it's going to be spectacular to look at. I just think you have to wait until the thing opens up and see how it plays and see how everything fits together. I mean, nobody really knows on some of these stadiums until you actually get in there. And you look at the San Francisco 49ers. They spent $80 trillion for a new stadium down in Santa Clara, and it turned out to be it's not a good stadium. It's just not a good stadium.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for the poor 49ers to build a stadium and have it just totally panned by everybody.
Okay, this week we say goodbye to the ballpark in Arlington. I don't know who's sponsoring it this week. The fans never got any money out of that. I don't know if Globe Life lowered anybody's premiums.
What do you call it, for real? When you say you're going to the Rangers game, what do you say? I'm going out to what?
The ballpark.
That's what I say. Tiara, what do you call it still?
I just tell Helen, my wife, I said, I'm going to the ballpark.
There
I'll see you later.
Everybody.
The name when it debuted, the ballpark in Arlington, I was like, that's the dumbest. Wait, that's a really cool name. And Gil's wearing a shirt today.
When I saw that on the internet, I said I got to have it. As they say goodbye to the ballpark, what are you going to miss the most about it?
The exterior. I love looking at the exterior. Yeah. I think it's just an incredible exterior to it. I love being on the field. And in the dugout.
We just put a visual up
That's a great picture, yeah.
taken from I guess the third base side of the field, looking across the lake. And it's twilight, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It's a handsome stadium.
The one thing I always compared, the Arlington Stadium was terrible.
Yeah, it was. It was Turnpike
Stadium.
Turnpike Stadium. I went to it a couple times. Yeah, it was horrible.
Here's the thing that I always love. If you go to Arlington Stadium, you remember where the clubhouse was.
Yep.
And you remember where the dugout was.
Yeah.
And there was this long, smelly, damp, wet runway tunnel that led from the clubhouse to the dugout. It felt like something out of the cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
I got to Google that real quick.
In this one, you have a straight runway, 25 yards, 30 yards, 50 feet, whatever measurement. And you walk straight down into the dugout, and the whole ballpark explodes in front of you.
Yeah, it's very
That's
cool.
what I'm going to miss, is just walking down that tunnel.
Yep.
And into the dugout and just seeing the whole ballpark right in front of you.
It was the ballpark in Arlington. It was Ameriquest Field. It was Rangers ballpark in Arlington. And for a while, it's been Globe Life Park. We say goodbye to the old yard on Sunday when it becomes reconfigured for the XFL in February and Bob Stoops. TR, I think you'll know this answer, but give me your best memory from the ballpark.
The first time I walked down that tunnel.
Yeah.
The very first time I walked down that tunnel on April 1st, 1994, we had a day game. I think it was an exhibition game.
It's the
maybe
Mets.
I can't
Absolutely,
remember.
Yep.
And I walked through that tunnel and into the dugout, and it was almost like a golden morning. Had that golden mist, or maybe it was just the lighting the way it was. It was an incredible feeling. That is always going to be. The other one, I'll tell you the other one, Richie, Gil, is after the Rangers won their first American League pennant, when Neftali Fleet struck out Alex Rodriguez.
That's mine, yep.
We were able to walk out onto the field to do our interviews and see the championship trophy presentation.
Yeah, they erected the stage and the whole thing.
I walked on the field and I turned around, and there was Mr. Schieffer, Tom Schieffer, was sitting there applauding and standing, and I looked at him and I saluted to him, and he saluted back to me.
Oh, very
That
cool.
was a great feeling. That was one of probably my favorite moment
Gil,
right there when Mr. Schieffer and I exchanged salutes.
You got a favorite, Gil? Got a moment?
I was there with TR that night, and that's a pretty special moment. I can't possibly top that.
It's got to be the greatest team moment in Rangers history.
Yeah, the first time
going to the World and striking out A-Rod, looking. It was just magical.
And I remember being right behind the pitcher's mound that night as people were celebrating. And of course, nobody was going home. Nobody was going home, and they kept using the whole stadium was red because of I don't know, those ribbon boards or whatever was causing it back then, and the fireworks and the noise, and it made me realize, boy, this place can get pretty loud when the crowd is really into it.
Yep.
It was just a special moment, and I've been at this a long time, and that ranks right up there, pretty darn near the top.
Yep, very cool. TR, I appreciate it. TR Sullivan, Rangers beat reporter, MLB.com. Read his fantastic story on the passing of Globe Life Park at MLB.com. TR, thanks, man. We'll catch you down the road.
Anytime you need me, give me a call.
All right, there he goes, TR Sullivan. That was good. I love talking baseball with that guy. He's passionate about his sport. He is
the dean of local baseball.
No doubt. Catch our writing daily, PressBoxDFW.com. Watch us here every Tuesday. Shout out to Facebook Live if you're watching us today. PressBox DFW Live every Tuesday. Next up, let's do a little pregame meal. There was a rivalry resurrected and got a little heated in Fort Worth on Saturday.
Welcome to this week's pregame meal. And you're right. Not only was the SMU-TCU rivalry, did it reach a different level on Saturday, a level unlike it's had in recent years. I think that was only the third SMU victory out of the last 18 meetings. Wow. I think that was what the figure was. Forgive me if I'm a little off on that. And it was just I honestly underestimated the ponies.
I think we all have all year. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but after playing such a good game on the road at Purdue week before, TCU struggled. They struggled both offensively and defensively throughout the day. Even though the game ended up 41-38, I think there was some the young quarterback, freshman Max Duggan, was off early. He had a lousy first half. He completed only 1 of 10 passes. And although he had a better second half, they still fell short.
They just got a 14-0 hole early.
It was 18-0.
Oh, it was
if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And playing catch up the whole day.
Yeah, and like I said, in the second half they got rolling, and the defense played better, held SMU to only 10 points in the second half.
But so you're at the game, obviously. Was there any SMU fans there?
Oh, yeah.
Did it feel like a rivalry game?
Yeah, but there weren't as many SMU fans as you might see for Texas fans.
Right.
Say
that
sneak, that they buy season tickets just so they can have and then sell the rest of the games on StubHub.
Right.
But they stayed with TCU stuck with Duggan pretty much the whole game. I think Alex Delton, the senior grad transfer, came in for only one play, and in Duggan's defense, I don't think he got a lot of help. I thought his receivers didn't do a good job of getting any kind of separation on the day. I thought there were a lot of lazy routes run. I was kind of zeroing in on some of the guys sometimes, and I just didn't. I don't know. I don't know
But
what
they scored 38 points.
they did, but I
How
don't.
do you discount that? I mean, I guess in today's college football, it's about average, but it wasn't like they got shut out.
Yeah, but they got, and this is reaction here.
That was
We
every play,
Yeah,
Patterson.
Gary being upset on the sidelines. He's yelling at his defense there, though. But he doesn't yell at the offense like
Right.
that. And but after the game, it was strange. And as I wrote this week, as I wrote on Sunday, you can look it up on PressBoxDFW.com.
Oh, it's a really good column that you wrote. Yeah.
I tried to rely on my 40 years of covering the Frogs, and I've covered them for all, what is it now for Gary, 21, 22.
Yep.
And I saw something that we had never seen, which was Gary make the offensive coordinator available for interviews after the game. I have nothing wrong after a performance like that, particularly after, offensive coordinator Sonny Cumbie made a couple of calls that some people really had some problems with. And I have nothing against him having to address the media. We're not the New York media. We're not, or the Philadelphia media. We're not going to rake anybody over coals anyway. But what happened though was it was so unprecedented, and Sonny came up and he answered questions as best he could on short notice. But it got me to thinking, now why did Gary serve him up like this? Why did he make him
I mean,
go
you've
and
covered
speak?
Gary Patterson's post game for 20 years.
Yeah,
and this was unique.
never. Yeah, the only time we talked to I used to joke with Cummie and Doug Meacham. I'd say I'd introduce at bowl games. The coordinators are usually made available at the interview session before the game. And I would always introduce myself jokingly and say, I know I'm not allowed to make eye contact with you guys during the season. And they would get a big laugh out of it. And but it's mostly true. And there aren't many schools that do it that way. There are a few schools where the coach controls the message entirely. But most schools do make their coordinators available, maybe not every week, but a lot. At TCU only, at Gary's orders, I'm sure, they don't have any coaches available before or after the games. If they win, they bring 4 players to the post-game interview room.
Okay.
If they lose, they only bring 2. And they're perfectly fine with that, apparently. And I've complained to Gary about that, and I've said, come on, we need to be able to talk. Your guys handle it very well in front of a microphone. Why don't you let them talk more? And he just kind of grins and
The 4 if we win, the 2 if we lose. Just
that's a rule.
that just feels like that's Patterson's rule, though, right?
It must be.
Yeah, that just feels like sour grapes. Like we didn't win. We don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Where's the accountability? That's a whole nother topic. I want to get on.
Well, it speaks though to how much he tries to control the message.
Yes, exactly
He
right.
wants to control everything.
So it's his message.
So to suddenly say,
Yes.
you need to tell Sonny Cumbie, you need to answer these questions about quarterbacks that I've been getting asked.
the sacrificial lamb. He's been put in front of the firing squad.
I don't think he wanted so much to. I mean, he could have sat up. Gary could have sat up there and said, I don't think there's anything. I didn't think he played that bad, or he had a bad first half, a good second. He could have brushed it off with just some innocuous comments.
Yeah.
But instead, he chose to defer the questions to Sonny to make Sonny. And again, I'm okay with Sonny having to talk to the media. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's not the point.
But
he was forced to talk.
But what
to
it
him.
did, it was the awkwardness of it, and to me, it kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit on a what I think has been a developing rift between the two. And I use the word rift maybe a little strong. I know the head coach came out
There's
yesterday.
something there. I don't know what it is, but it's a brewing, lingering something that can't be healthy for TCU football.
Well, it depends on the nature of the differences and how deep they run.
It's true.
If he's trying to run Sonny Cumbie off, and that's just a speculation, that's just a one possibility, then he's doing a good job.
Well, yeah, but do that in the offseason.
Right.
I mean, don't sacrifice your wins and losses.
But I think he would rather
point.
But I'm not saying he's trying to do that. I'm saying
I'm
that
with
he's trying to, if it's something as simple as getting Sonny to coordinate better, to do a better job with the quarterback, to pick the right quarterback, and equip him for 60 minutes to play his best football, then that's a whole nother thing. If that's what he's trying to get to, then his methods.
It's unorthodox.
His methods were a little strong. It was strong.
If we ever, God forbid, if PressBox DFW Live ever has a bad show and it's because you forgot your laptop, I wouldn't open the next show and go, so last week we sucked. Gil, what'd you think? I just wouldn't do that.
Right.
I would have your back and we would all share in the good shows and the bad shows. I just wouldn't. It's just it's a crappy thing to do to somebody.
Well, we'll have
How
to
are
see.
TCU fans and our readers, what's their take on it, on the kerfuffle you call it?
The reaction that I got, either through email or looking on a couple of bulletin boards, was about 90 to 95% in agreement with what I wrote. I think they trusted my
Of course.
My perspective on this, and I've found it interesting that Patterson went on the Big 12 coaches teleconference yesterday and seemed to pull back a little bit on it. He poured water on the whole thing. Said, "Oh, he's a great guy. I've known him 5 years, and all
Talking
this."
about Cumbie.
Cumbie.
Okay. Trying to downplay the rift.
Yeah, and well, we'll see. We'll see. It's bottom line is that here they are. They're playing Kansas Saturday, and they still aren't sure what quarterback.
That's a problem. That's a major problem. I don't know if that's Cumbie or Duggan or Alex Delton.
Alex Delton.
I don't know if it's one of those guys hasn't grabbed the job, but if you're in week 4 and you're still grasping at a quarterback, you probably got issues.
Well, everybody needs to get on the same page.
Exactly right.
Including the quarterback, including the young or the senior quarterback. And they need to figure out a way to make it work in harmony the rest of the way. That's the way I see it.
Let's talk about the game a little bit. The Iron Skillet on Saturday. You were there.
Iron Skillet exists, by the way.
I saw it after the game.
I saw the ponies
It's a living,
hoisting
breathing
it.
document.
It's heavy as hell. I've picked it up once before.
You do really?
Yeah, it's heavy. It's
it's made out of iron, I heard.
You notice only the offensive linemen pick the thing up.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
And but good for them.
Is that the worst trophy in sports? Let's be
Could
real.
be.
The Iron Skillet. I mean, come on.
Could be. I don't know.
Maybe the Golden Boot is second.
The Golden Boot. The Golden Boot is, and I've always thought it was silly when the winner of the Texas-Oklahoma game puts on that stupid
golden hat, right?
It just looks.
Okay, speaking of like uniforms and trophies, I kind of like SMU's uniforms. What do you think? With the old, I'm from Dallas, Duncanville. That was the D that we used back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with that classic D, and then it says Dallas across the front. As much as I wanted TCU to win that game, because I know a lot of our readers and followers are TCU alums, it's kind of cool that SMU is not back, but they're competitive again. It's been a long time for them, since 2012, I think.
Absolutely, and I applaud Sonny Dykes for the great job he's done, and having the vision to give Shane Buechele a chance.
I thought that was going to be a failure. I mean, I watched him at Texas. I'm a Texas guy, and he would drop back and sit in the pocket and look at one receiver. That one receiver would open, he would get sacked. And I just thought, he's going to get killed behind a worse offensive line at SMU, and he's resurrected himself. He looked great. He throws a beautiful deep ball.
Yes, he does. And I just think he's, look who he got beaten out by at Texas.
Yeah.
A guy that's a pretty darn good quarterback, as it turned out. And maybe with the same kind of patience that he might have been able to turn his Texas career around too. But SMU's got some skill position
Yeah, what did you
people.
see out of them? I mean, TCU probably didn't play its best game, but does SMU? I mean, can they win their conference or be competitive? I mean, they got votes in the AP Top 25 this week, that's been a minute since SMU got votes.
They got a shot.
The receiver's really good. Is it Roberson?
Right.
Yeah, that guy can get up and get the ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they've got that what's his name? And Proche, that receiver. We'd call it Proche where I come from.
Yes, you would.
And
you call everybody Proche where you come from.
he's
I'd be Riche.
I think SMU snuck up on TCU a little bit.
Absolutely.
I think after going into the big tough Big Ten stadium and winning, and they figured that this was a team that they had beaten so many times, but the ponies need. I'm got distracted for a second there. With
Yeah, we're not walking off
visuals.
yet. That's premature evacuation.
They want us out. It was a good. It was a great victory for SMU, and they'll be fun to follow. I hope our SMU, our Dallas fans, our Dallas readers who read us every day. I hope they continue to read us. We're going to try to have. I know John had a couple of good Bouchel stories and Sonny Dykes stories this past week.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to cover them. I think
they're a good story.
They're Dallas. They may be Dallas's team, but we're Dallas too.
Absolutely.
So,
We'll cover all of college football. PressBoxDFW.com. Read us every day. We'll cover the Big 12. We'll cover the American Athletic Conference where SMU is kind of revitalized. All right, next up in Wits End, speaking of Dallas's other football team, if the Cowboys are going to go 16-0, they had to win the first three, and boy, did they. Wits End, Dallas's football teams, Gil, the Cowboys, and SMU, of course. I know the Cowboys play in Arlington, but they have Dallas in their name. Dallas's two teams, 7-0, averaging 38.7 a game. That's if you're a Dallas football fan, I know most people in Dallas are. Times are good, aren't they? There's Drew Brees calling.
Drew Brees,
Finally, after all this time.
Let me get it.
Maybe that's John Henry saying, "I've got Richie's laptop."
You try and think of everything on these.
Yeah, some of us think of more than others. All right. Did you watch any Cowboys Dolphins?
This is live television,
Yes,
people.
it is.
Did I? What was the question?
Did you watch
again?
Cowboys Dolphins at all?
Sure. Yes.
Boy, they look bad early because the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL. They're putrid.
They're beyond the worst team. I mean, they're like
Beyond
there's
the
like
worst team.
the 31st team, and then the Dolphins are way down there.
If this was like Premiership soccer, they'd be relegated.
They'd be relegated.
Yeah,
They'd
absolutely.
be playing right.
And the Cowboys almost trailed those knucklehead Dolphins at halftime. It was 10-6. The Dolphins were driving, and Jalen Smith got juked, but managed to cause a fumble from
Right.
Kenyon Drake, and they recovered it. Or they would have been behind at halftime.
Jalen Smith, who really hadn't made many plays the whole day,
that was-
gets a hand on.
Yeah, and it was a lucky play, but give him credit. But the second half, the Cowboys just came alive and did what we thought they were going to do. They beat the Dolphins, outscored them 21-0 in the second half, and we'll roll some highlights.
Big
of
third
those,
quarter
yeah,
again,
of
especially
those.
by the quarterback.
But the Cowboys did not play a good game. I thought Dak was off. He wasn't as accurate as we used to. He threw it behind a couple guys. He got greedy on interception. But it's a good time to do that when you play the horrible Dolphins.
So they played nobody.
You're exactly right. They played the Redskins. We saw them last night. They're probably the second worst team in the NFL. The Giants have one win, and the Eagles are 1-2. That's the division.
Right.
Now, and they've also played the Dolphins. Yes, they played. I think the teams they played have a collective one win.
The Giants almost lost, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that is the only victory that a Cowboys opponent has registered so far this year. Everybody else is winless.
Right.
They've lost all of the games. So
is it a cheap 3-0?
yes, it is a cheap 3.
You want to think about that? You sound like you're pretty convicted.
Well, that part
No,
of it,
I think-
that part of it's cheap, but what I'm saying is we don't. I think it's just like last week. Last week when we were rating, when you had me figure out who
The quarterbacks,
who,
yeah. Dak.
who Dak Prescott was ahead of in NFL quarterbacks, and I think I had him 6th.
You did.
And after the first half, I was asked, I was going to
Ranked
call
it too
you and
high.
say, can we have a do-over of
Give
that
me a rewrite.
podcast?
Yeah.
They probably aren't as good as
They can't be.
they've shown,
No.
and they certainly aren't as bad as the level of their
Yeah,
opponents.
a dominant win in the NFL, which is, there's parity and it's all pretty much a big morph together. But if you score 30 points, 400 yards of offense, and win by 10 points, that's a dominant win.
Yeah, that's-
Cowboys are 3 for 3. I mean,
Right.
they couldn't have played better. And again,
Right.
against bad performance, they're going to have a test against your Saints, though. Even though Breeze is out, Saints looked a lot better in that game, beating Seattle last weekend.
Of course, I watched that game, and I think the team, nobody expected them to go up to Seattle and win.
No.
With the kind of effort the Cowboys had for 60 minutes, not just the second half. I wonder if that would have been enough to beat Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to win. But I thought the Saints played well defensively, especially defensively. And I thought with a full week to game plan for Teddy Bridgewater, I thought Sean Payton did a great job there. I thought he gave him plays that more suited his ability. Drew Brees at practice does not give up too many reps to the backup
Sure.
quarterback. He won't come out of games, even when the Saints are ahead by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He just won't come out of the games. A little selfish, maybe, but he's Drew Brees. And so I think Teddy Bridgewater had, they were saying he was getting like 3 reps at the end of each practice leading up to that game in Los Angeles. So, and then he's suddenly thrust in there and,
Yeah.
and he's got all these, he's got a ferocious, one of the league's best pass rushes beaming down on him. So this week he had a game plan that moved him out of the pocket sometimes. He made good tough throws, some of them right over the middle of the field, just the way Breeze does. It's going to be interesting to see what that matchup is with the Cowboys linebackers. Are they going to respect Bridgewater's running ability? What are they going to do about Saints receiver Michael Thomas?
Yes.
They've had Cowboys secondary has played very well so far, I think.
But they haven't been tested. And
They haven't been tested.
again, this is not Drew Brees' Saints, but you go to the Superdome, it gets loud.
Yeah.
This is the best team the Cowboys have played. But again, in a year which everything so far is working out for the Cowboys, facing Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints is it's working out for the Cowboys. Let me say this to Cowboys fans, though. Late in that game at AT&T Stadium, the fans did the wave. What is happening? The wave was cliche and worn out in 2006. Why are they doing the wave there?
I thought the wave went out way before
Okay,
that.
maybe I'm giving the wave too much credit.
Right.
But it's why? I was thinking the Cowboys are having a magical year, and I saw the fans doing the wave. I'm like, no, we're not. We're not having a magical year. We're still stuck in the 90s.
Well,
It's
clearly,
just embarrassing.
Jerry needs to raise the ticket prices and get all
Even
those
more.
fringe.
If you've done the wave,
fans.
turn in your tickets. We're not doing the wave
Right.
anymore. All right. I opened the show by talking about having my laptop stolen last week. My 4th laptop, by the way.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It seems
statistic.
impossible. I'm quite proud of this. Maybe it's a record. And every time I'm going to go through my scenarios of my laptop's getting stolen. You tell me what I should have done differently, okay? Because I don't, other than I'm the common denominator, I don't know what I did wrong. Laptop number 1, worked at the Star Telegram. It was 1987. I was eating at a Chili's in Duncanville. I had my computer bag locked in the front seat of my car, but not in the seat, in the floorboard. And I came out from Chili's. I was going to go cover a high school game in Duncanville. I came out, and my window was smashed in, and my computer bag was gone. Is that my fault?
Well, as you learned,
It's already my fault.
don't make anything visible.
It was in the floorboard. I mean,
Well, that's how I had my car broken into one time.
oh, you've had yours broken into. Okay.
Right, in
Good. I'm not the only
Arlington.
fool.
And I had my backpack on the floorboard on the passenger side,
Yeah.
and came out. I was at a restaurant eating lunch, came out, and the person I was with said, "What's all that glass right next to
Exactly.
your car?"
Yeah.
And I went, well, that would be my passenger window.
So that was
But,
number
all
one.
right, number one.
Number two, and I bet you were at this event, NFC Championship game 1993, Cowboys 49ers. They had a media event at the Anatole. And it was, remember when Jimmy and George Seifert going back about brass balls,
Yeah.
paper mache? It was that press conference. Well, the Anatole has a makeshift press room, kind of a ballroom with a security guy there. We leave our computers, at tables to go to the press conference. I came back, no computer. Is that my fault?
No.
Okay. That's number two. Number three is maybe the best story. And I'll make it short. We're in Las Vegas. Three guys staying in a hotel room. One of the guys decides to get a lady of the evening, let's say, takes her up to the room. She drugs him, knocks him out, takes everything. The next morning I wake up, I'm like, there's no laptop. He's like, he's a diabetic, and then she took his insulin machine and our toothbrushes. Everything was gone. Was that my fault?
No.
I mean, maybe for having poor choice
You
of
gotta-
friends,
poor
but
choice
so let's go back to then last Tuesday. I'm shopping here in Dallas at Dick's Sporting Goods. It's in a strip shopping center. There's a Best Buy, and it wasn't a freestanding building, and it's just north of the Galleria, which, as you know, very posh place and very high-toned place. I'm parked, and we'll show the picture here in a minute. I'm parked right there. There's the front door. There's where I was parked. Okay. I come out from buying some shoes and stuff for a Tough Mudder that I'll talk about next week, and there's my window of my car. I open my hatch, and like you said, it was just shards of glass and no computer bag. It was a smash and grab that took probably 30 seconds, and 3 cars got hit in a row. But that's it. That's my was that my fault?
No.
Then what? I'm a decent human being. Why do I have 4 laptops stolen in my life? Is it because I travel too much, or what should I do? There's a really good picture of a really bad picture.
Did the police at least let you offer you to look at the video?
There's no video.
Why?
Dick's has a camera that points on the front door, but not out in the parking lot. So anyway, there you go. I feel like I'm a good guy, but I'm also cursed. 4 laptops. I've got a new one right here, and I'm giving it to Gil to bring next week. 'Cause I can't handle it. I'm not in charge of it.
I got a place on my floorboard.
All right. Oh, no, you don't. You hide that thing. All right. Next up on PressBox DFW Live, let's round the bases and head for home. All right, let's walk this thing off. PressBox DFW Live. John Henry not here. We'll rag on him next week, and we'll review some TCU Kansas. We'll talk about Cowboys Saints, and Ziggy, what do we got? You got anything going on?
Yes, we have a lot of love today for Globe Life Park. A lot of people are going to miss it, but we've also got a lot of love on the chat for your shirt, Gil.
That is a good shirt.
Yes,
I
we
should've-
have.
I still call it the ballpark.
I could easily rip this off.
Where did you get that shirt? Did you have it made, or did you just find it?
No. I saw an ad. An ad popped up. I want to say it was on Facebook. And you should never, be careful about, unless it says PressBoxDFW.com.
Yeah.
Be careful with what you click on. But I clicked on it, and it took me to a website that had a whole bunch of these old ballparks.
Oh, gotcha.
I still wish they played in the Astrodome and
Yeah,
those
I
kind
gotcha.
of things.
I gotcha.
And this was a natural.
It's a cool shirt. I still call it the ballpark. I think everybody does. But after Sunday, we'll call it Globe Life Field.
If I find it,
because
I'll post the
Globe
link
Life
on
Park.
our website.
There you go. PressBoxDFW.com. If we find, I still call it the ballpark. All right. What's on the website this week? Any good stuff?
Plenty of good stuff. A lot of football. Be sure to read Richie's. There's a little bit preview. Read his story about the being a tough mudder.
I'll talk about that next week in Wits
Right.
End, doing that ridiculous.
But we'll have a lot of football stuff this week,
Lot of
and
football,
we'll have plenty of stuff about the Glow Live Park's final week.
Yep. And go read Gil's story about the kerfuffle, because it'll explain what's going on at TCU. All right. For fake John Henry, for real Gil Leberton, I am Richie Witt. We'll see you in the press box, DFW.